Welcome to Your Energy First, the podcast where intuition meets mindset for aligned decisions in life and business. I'm your host, Emily McNaughton, here to help guide you in unlocking your unique energy and create success your way. Welcome, everyone, back to the podcast. What a time. We are in such an interesting time right now. There's a lot of big transitions happening on our planet. And if you're following along with this podcast, whether you're new or you've been here a while, you're definitely part of this. Uh, we're going through like an energetic flushing out. And what this means to you and I in our day-to-day life would be that some pretty big pillars in our life. The pillars of our life are our health, our wealth, our overall well-being, intimate relationships, familial relationships, relationships with loved ones, homes, careers, who we are, creativity, what we really believe in ourselves. Those are really big aspects of our human experience. And spirituality gives us tools and support to expand that experience for ourselves. As of late, the last couple of weeks, me personally, I've been going through a huge inner transition, and in my outer world, we've had, some kind of crazy things happen in our family. Very gratefully, everybody's okay. And one of the things that we've been focusing on as a family is while we continue to, meditate, pray, be intentional about the love and the light that we are bringing into our family consciously, we're also looking at these, perceivably negative situations and saying, what is this teaching us? And what's the greater story here? Like, what's the greater plan? Because while some things may be seen as a big challenge, we also have been able to find gratitude and also see how this experience is actually further shaping our family. Because when you're put in challenging circumstances is when you learn more about yourself and other people and how we react and respond to these things. And we're trusting the greater plan. We're still taking smart steps, right, to get everybody healthy and back on track again, so to speak. But it's been kind of a ride for a lot of people as of late. I've been talking to a lot of you, and you've been sharing that the challenging thoughts and experiences that are coming up, I can tell we are facing them head on and with a much clearer mind and direction. And that is so important for you to recognize in yourself. Because as we grow on this spiritual journey and as we become more aware of the fact that we have help and how do we call in that help and how do we access our higher selves and bring our higher self into this experience, it's not as if all of this stuff is wiped away clean, right? And we enter the promised land. Instead, it shows us how we can actually become more of a support system for ourselves and a support system for other people and help guide people from the really challenging times into times that we are now collectively co-creating together. That was a pretty big arc there, that I just intuited. And all of this to say, what's happening right now is so that we all are very clear on ourselves and what we can trust. We want to be able to trust ourselves first. We want to be able to have that filter, and we want to be able to know how to shine bright our way. And then as we step out into this world, help our loved ones, strangers, and other people navigate these experiences themselves, our own personal truth is like a sounding bell that just continues to ring true and be our guide. This is powerful work. To recap, you can have grief for an experience you're having and honor the duality that there's a lot to be grateful for as well, and allowing yourself to be curious about what this path is going to show you. Last night, our family was together and we laughed a lot. It was so much fun. And then at the same time, there was still some sadness there. It's okay to have the duality. We have some, younger kiddos, babies in our family, and it's been so much fun to, be a part of their lives, right? Get to nurture them and support them in my own way. And part of what I was noticing is how the way that they respond to things is also very much how we as adult respond to things. It's simply that we are in a different place nowadays where we are choosing to, babies will like cry for all the same reasons, right? They've got something in their pants, they're hungry, they're fussy, they're hot, they're, entertain me, whatever. And as adults, all of those are still similar experiences to what it is that we're having, right? But as a kid, you cry and cry and cry until you get what you need. And so as adults, we're really taught to kind of filter this part of ourselves down, cover it up. And so instead, what we want to do is we want to take a look at where do I need to cry and let myself release and do it without judgment. This is the biggest thing I've been witnessing in myself and in other people is we are still judging ourselves for having these deeply emotional feelings. So while we're going through this deep cleansing process, also remember it's okay to have responses that may come through as deep sorrow, anger, uncontrollable feelings, right? We, as adults, I think we try to control how we release things, and you just don't need to do that anymore. So giving yourself space to have that and then reflect on, well, what do I need? But how am I creating forward? It's very, very powerful, very, very powerful. So the duality of it all, and be curious. I don't look at myself as someone who is, I will never be like, oh, I'm so spiritual that I don't feel, anger anymore or grief or, I mean, forget that. No, now I know I will be in these phases and also know that there is something greater here for me. And I allow that greatness in and I allow myself to be the greatness. I would love to hear how that makes sense for you. But I think, we have a very intelligent audience here, and I think you guys know exactly what it is, the message that I'm attempting to filter through from the spirit, as I can say channel, right? And I want to touch on this whole channeling piece more and more and more. I'm freaking loving this Aquarian age of ours. People not only are just seeing through the BS, I'm not going to say they're calling people out because that's actually not what it feels like. I think call out culture happened these last few years, and I think now it's more we're standing on self-responsibility. And there is I don't know, a person in this industry. I don't even know what they do, but they said that they went to an Egyptian pyramid and the goddess Isis told him to impregnate his lover. And he had previously talked about how monogamy is like a spiritual path. And one of the things about channeling is, and you guys know I teach holding energetic space, which I'm now shifting to holding light. And holding light just it feels more in tune for my own personal practice. It feels more free, and then it doesn't confuse the tangible, beautiful practice of holding space for someone. So when you hold light, you are still in your power. Just because you're channeling does not mean that you should outsource your power, give it up to the Holy Spirit and just let yourself be taken over. That's not healthy. And just because you are channeling, if you're not in your light and directly connected to source, and then source not allows in, but you say, this is what I need, and source goes, great, here's what's going to help you. Now, does Isis give people messages? I 100% believe she does. And with that, we are still responsible and accountable. So I don't know this person's story, and I mean, I do not care what they do with their life. But what we don't want to do is say, well, I'm doing this because a goddess told me, because I channeled an energy. It's like, no. What if it's like, you know what? I got this insight and actually it feels true for me on my path now. It actually feels true for me. So I was monogamous before and I thought that was a very spiritual path. And now, and by the way, like this person, his wife, his lover, they're all on the same page. Like they're all good with this, right? But then you say, you know what, we're changing. We're changing our story. We're changing our beliefs. Do you guys know how many times as I continue to learn and grow things, my own personal beliefs evolve? It's gonna happen. So what people didn't like is that this person said, because this goddess told me, and I mean the terminology too, like this goddess told me to impregnate my lover. I mean, come on. So I think that's the other piece that people are kind of like, there still needs to be a sense of accountability. And all this person needed to say was, hey, I had this feeling that this is the path I meant to take, wasn't expecting it. Personally, when I receive insights like that from energies that are very powerful, you actually never want to share it. Okay. And I think you guys are going to know exactly what it is I'm talking about here. When you actually engage with energies that are so just, I can't even say magnetic because it's not that, because there's energy that's of the light, meaning of integrity, is extremely grounded. It is extremely grounded and it grounds you even further. And that's important because those energies never make you feel like you want to catapult and share these things publicly, at least not without processing what the message is for you first, so that you can then share it with other people. So we do not want to throw our discernment away. We do not want to do something that could, well, I was told, therefore, and could potentially harm other people. And forget this other person. I mean, that's story's neither here nor there anymore. But when we channel, you should never feel drained. You should never feel tired. Well, you may feel like you've worked out really hard, but you will not feel like your body will not weaken. Clients tell me all the time, the more they practice holding light, they go, oh my gosh, I physically look younger. I'm like, I know, it's crazy. So remember that too. And that's what I loved. When I was reading the story caught my attention. When I was reading people's comments, people, yeah, sure, some people were kind of popping off, but for the most part, people are like, no, like this isn't how it works. Do what you want to do, but they're basically defending spirituality, which was really interesting and really cool, right? This means that there's a lot of other people out there like you and I. And what I mean when I say that is just with similar values of, hey, let's be curious on this path together and let's be accountable. So, all of that to say, welcome to this new world. We've created it. We're continuing to create it. It's a beautiful, powerful thing, and I'm really excited for multiple versions of our own expressions to come through. That's the part you and I are really going to connect with in a major, major way. Major, major way. So many good things to come. We have a very powerful 6 months ahead, a very powerful 6 months ahead. If you're feeling like you want to drop into a container of additional support to get more clarity on your intuition, your guidance, your abilities to hold light, definitely find me on Instagram, or I'm going to put it in my profile here. And there's ways to connect. I have a group program opening up at the beginning of the fall, and I am back to taking one-on-ones again. One-on-ones, though, in a long form setting. So I will feel called to do one-off sessions from time to time. And then there's other times where it's an extended container, like 4 to 6 weeks. So and those I always listen to my intuition on and bring them through. And they're just very, very impactful. And I'm so excited to work with individuals who are just really ready to land and expand this work. Intuitive Millionaires is coming into such beautiful form. And becoming an intuitive millionaire, multimillionaire, is a process and it's a journey. And it's something that I'm helping guide people towards. I have a background in finance. I have a degree in finance. I have a background in business for over 2 decades. I've built my own multi six figure, we are leaning into 7 figures business. So, but I've done that all based on my intuitive gifts, the skill sets I've developed. And that's what's really needed is folks who have the cornerstone of business and finance, because we talk about business and finance in this program in a very clear, concise way. Money loves clarity, energy loves clarity and direction. Money's energy, right? And then also, how do you intentionally lean into this side of yourself that's really ready to blossom? That's really ready to blossom. So, for those of you who are feeling called to that container, I'll be very, very excited to be bringing it out in July. And I have some really special guests over the next 6 to 12 months that I'll be bringing in that's going to really help you round out and ground the different aspects of your business as you embody yourself as an intuitive multimillionaire business owner. Until then, thank you so much for being yourself, for being curious about yourself. I'm curious about myself. I'm curious about my life. I'm curious about your story. And I really enjoy connecting with each of you in whatever way it is we connect. For some of you, you leave a comment on Spotify. I freaking love reading those. For some, it's on YouTube. Some, it's my DMs. Some work with me. Some folks will, enjoy this work once and never work with me. Either way, we are all on this path together and we're figuring it out and we're making it fun along the way. It's so great to connect here. If this episode resonated with you, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who you want to have more of these chats with. As you move throughout your day, remember, your energy is your superpower. As you pay attention to it and trust it, you can watch your entire life begin to transform.